Morning everyone. So today's bite size within our modelling category is to look at live modelling. So how we actually take students through a live example so that they can fully understand our thought process as we are going through our own learning and how they might then be able to replicate those strategies for themselves. So the first part of our live modelling is to look at our initial level of thinking, and we need to talk through this and narrate the process of thinking through the problem so that we can model our thought processes step by step. So we need to think about, well, what is being asked? What information do we already have? What are we aiming to achieve? And then we undertake the task ourselves, making sure the students can see what we are actually doing. We then need to model how we organise our thinking. So part of our modelling narrative needs to include our decision-making process. How do we decide what we do next? And if we have an array of ideas, we need to model how we go about putting them into a logical sequence so that, again, students can understand how that decision-making process is made and how we then get to a point where our ideas are built into a logical sequence that allow us to then undertake the solution to any problem. From here then we're going to review our work. So we're going to kind of stand back from our model example in order to review it, in order to check the understanding of each step. So checking our own understanding, but checking the understanding of the students as well. We need to evaluate whether our model is correct or not. Is it complete? Does it meet the success criteria? This really then models the process that students should follow when they review their own work. You know, we need to make this explicit. Have I done it well? Am I correct? Does it need a little bit of tweaking? Is there something else that I need to do to then make this more accurate? We can then start to model alternatives and some other examples. Now, obviously, very often there'll be multiple possible ways to achieve success, and it's important that we don't confine the students' thinking by basing their responses on just one example. One example is obviously going to be rarely sufficient to communicate a method or a process. So by providing multiple model examples, it's often important to build up the toolkit of the students, but to also reinforce the strategy that we're using as well anyway. Finally then, we need to hand this over to the students. So we need to set some tasks that are going to then emulate or allow the students to emulate the model. So obviously it's important that the students try to put the ideas that have been modelled into practice themselves so that they can take ownership over the learning. So at this stage, some initial guided practice will be important, but we should be in a position where we can move students to then independently practice the strategies to meet the demands of the task that's been set. Obviously though, as we go through, making sure that we reference back to the modelled examples to make sure we're keeping the standards high in terms of what the students are replicating in their own work. Okay, hope that's helped as ever, and any questions, please just let me know. Good luck with it all.